Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very, very, very special episode of Beyond the Album Cover, where we get the inside scoop from those in the know within the music industry, give them their flowers while they're here to celebrate and smell them. Like I said, this interview is very special for me. This guy right here, all the interviews that you've seen me do, he's seen it firsthand from the days in Brown, Taylor, WAG 103.1 FM, the time machine to beyond the album cover. He has an important part in my story, and we're going to hear about his music, his new album that just dropped, Merge Records, Chapel Hill, everything else in between. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause for Josh Kimbrough. Josh, welcome to the podcast, bro.
Oh man, Jarrell, thank you so much. It's good to see your face here, and it's good to hear your voice. Yeah, we go way back, and yeah, those times at the college radio station, those were really special.
Yeah, they definitely were. Even though we're only pumping out 18 watts, we still had a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers. Thank God for live streaming, because that's how I got a lot of my views, live streaming. Because
That's right.
I did an interview a couple of months back with the artist formerly known as Show Smooth, Chris Lee, who is now the
hmm
primary sports anchor at WRAL, and we were just reminiscing, talking about how we used to do Walmart runs to go buy TDK 120-minute cassette tapes just so that we could have enough tape to record our shows and the little cassette
Oh man,
console underneath the board.
don't you kind of miss that though? The
Yeah,
physical formats,
yeah,
you know?
I missed that, man, because I remember not being able to know how to really operate a record player until Jack
Mm-hmm.
kind of showed me. Jack Bounty, for those of you that don't know, was the station general manager. He gave
hmm
me and all of us our shot, and he showed me the record player, and I was like, what is this? How do you work this?
hmm
But I became a pure master at it. But likewise, it is good to see you. Good to hear from
Oh
you.
yeah.
And we go way back, so we're gonna get into all of that. So, where did your love of music come from, and who are some of the musical influences that you listened to growing up?
Yeah, I would say that I feel lucky to have grown up in a musical household. So my dad is a piano player, keyboard player. Um, he actually went to Duke University in the late 70s, and he was in sort of like a jazz fusion type of band. So he sort of has that funkiness to his style. Um, and as I was growing up, he was always playing the piano, always playing, some sort of Scott Joplin, ragtime songs, or just really anything, just jamming away on the piano. So I think that's really where I started. My love of music came from him, and things like that. So
Mom, musical inclined as well, or just dad?
mom definitely appreciates music, and actually, mom can hop on the piano, and she remembers some of those songs that she used to play taking lessons when she was younger. But yeah, more so, dad is the one who is just constantly playing and writing music. And but they both encouraged me a lot, as I was growing up. Buying me instruments or just, putting me in lessons or, you know, just encouraging me. So,
Yeah, and that's where it all starts with most virtuosos. You start buying instruments, enrolling them in lessons, and you sit, you learn, you play. Do you remember the first piece that you learned to play on the piano?
ooh, that is a good question. I did take piano lessons from first from my dad and then from other other teachers. I can't say I really remember any pieces. Um, and then when I switched over to guitar, I think that would have been when I was around 14 or 15. I do remember when I first started taking lessons on guitar, I was studying Freddie King, who is a jazz, or sorry, he is a blues guitar player, really amazing blues guitar player. And you'll hear him, he's got records of only instrumental tunes and he's got records where he sings as well. But that was me learning sort of the blues basics, and I learned a lot of those Freddie King songs to really start me off.
Now, primarily for your musical learning, did you learn by ear, or was it a combination of both lessons and learning by ear with what you heard on the radio?
It was a combination. I would say mostly by ear for sure, because I just, growing up, going back to, let's say, middle school, I wanted to be in a band with some other folks. That's what really was driving me to pick up instruments and to pick up the guitar. Um, and so I like to, sit in a room with my friends and yeah, play by ear and just make things up as they come. At the same time, I did take some classical guitar lessons in late high school, and that was reading off of a page a little bit. So I had a little bit of that as well, but a lot of it was playing by ear.
And that is a skill within itself. Me, I'm not musically inclined, but if I was, piano would be one of the instruments I would love to because it's so classy and people tend to
Mm.
look at you like you got a higher credit score if you know how to play piano.
That's right. Well, and it's nice, if you walk into somebody's house who has a piano and you can sit down and play something on it, you get bonus points for that. That's
And
or you get to start the party.
and for those of you that don't know, back in the day, having a piano in the house was a status symbol because if you had a piano in the house,
Mm.
that meant you had money
Mm. Mm-hmm.
or the appearance of money. Now, did you get your start cutting your teeth in the talent show circuit in school? Now, we all know for some musicians that was
Yeah.
the brutal training ground for
Yeah.
fame and fortune. If you were the man or the woman by 6 or 7 period, you were good money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So a school talent show is what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. So our high school, we did have a yearly talent show, and that was a pretty big deal. And um, yeah, two bands of mine, one junior year, one senior year, got into that talent show, and yeah, I credit that talent show with maybe converting a few fans, from our high school audience, or for our, it was and plus you got to get on stage, you got to do a real performance, you got to prepare for that performance, so it sort of helped you cut your chops a little bit in that way. Or maybe learn some things the hard way. Okay, let's not do that next time or something. But I do think those talent shows were pretty great at our high school, and even just observing other peers who were musicians and seeing what they were doing and maybe borrowing from what they were doing is also something I remember.
Now, was there a lot of collaboration between all the musicians at the school, or everybody kind of stayed within their own sets?
So I do remember senior year talent show. I accompanied a friend of mine who was singing a Ani DeFranco song. So she asked me to accompany her on guitar, and then my band played. And then I remember we really liked a drummer from another band, so we ended up asking him later to play with us. So I think, yeah, there was a little bit of cross pollination there, and that was a cool aspect of it. Yeah.
Now, did you do marching band during this time or no?
I did. So trombone was the other instrument I was playing at the time. That didn't last very long because I love the guitar, and I just ended up spending all my time on guitar and writing my own music instead of being in the marching band. But I did one. I played I rehearsed with the marching band, but I never actually marched with the marching band because I played soccer as well, and that was a conflict with football and marching band. So,
Yeah, for those of you that
but
don't
yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah, for those of you that don't know, normally fall sports have a tendency to overlap with marching band season, and you don't have a so this one time at band camp story that you can share, right?
right. No, I don't. I
No,
don't.
no,
I
this
don't.
one time at band camp. Now, was your high school band a choral style marching band, or was it kind of like a mix of choral and show style?
Ooh, I'm not really very familiar. Like I said, that freshman year, I did a little bit of rehearsing with them, but I wasn't even that familiar with their whole repertoire. So
Mm. Yeah, for
I wish
those
I could tell you.
Yeah, for those of you that's unfamiliar with choral and choral style is more your traditional marching band where you're going to play your traditional pieces, maybe have your standards in. And show style is more of what you see with the HBCUs, where it's more of a performance.
Right.
You have the dancers, you do your popular songs, and it's more of a show, and which segues to our
Yeah.
meeting point, a little old
Hmm.
school by the name of University of North Carolina at Greensboro, which is 10 to 15 minutes up Market Street from North Carolina A&T, one of the baddest HBCU bands in the land. So what led you to want to be a Spartan at UNCG?
What led me to go to UNCG? To be honest, one thing that sealed the deal for me, you don't see a lot of brick and mortar record stores out there these days. You see a few, but there was a great one on the main drag right next to UNC Greensboro back when you and I went to that school, Jarrell. So that was called Gate City Noise. And it was a great record store with an owner who would point you in the right direction if you told him, I sort of like this and I sort of like this. Can you show me something new that I'll love? And he would point you right to it. They would have actually amazing live shows there too. And anyways, I just caught the vibe that there was a cool thing happening there. And that was just one little record store, but to me it just felt like, okay, that was going to be an oasis. And that got me excited about it. Yeah. And then of course from there, well, there did end up being a good music scene. The more I got to know the town, once I started going there. So
Yeah, I actually never went to Gate City North. I think they demolished that. I want to say maybe my sophomore year because it's a Walgreens
okay.
now. But I remember
Yeah.
seeing that when
Yeah.
I first arrived in fall of '04. So how did you end up at WUAG 103.1 FM and get assigned to the job of PD?
Yes. Yes. That's going down memory lane. Let's try to remember these things. So you get to school freshman year, you do the orientation, you move into the dorm, um, and oh, am I still there? Okay, and you just start to find like-minded people around campus, right? Um, Maybe it's a T-shirt they're wearing of a band you like, and you just go up to them. I feel like that's one of the few times in life where you just sort of go up to a stranger and just say, "Hey, who are you? I'm new here. Let's be friends." You just find some common ground. So I found a few of those people, and I guess somehow one of us or a couple of us had heard of this orientation for the radio station and went to an interest meeting. And yeah, basically freshman year, I was able to get my first show, and I remember it very vividly. I mean, that was great times. I really looked up to the DJs who came before me and after me, and it was just, yeah, it was such a great feeling to just sit behind the desk, speak into that microphone. You had this huge library of CDs and vinyl all around you. You're just ready to discover new things, and yeah, that was really, really exciting. And plus, then you felt like you were part of a community as well. Like I said, those DJs that came before and after you, and you would see them at meetings too, and you had a common interest. And so that's kind of how I started off. And then I liked it so much. I mean, I wanted to be there all the time, so I applied to be on the board, and that's how I got to be program director.
Oh man, so kind of like you, I saw the interest table during Welcome Week, indicated, "Hey, I want to show," and
Hmm.
I ended up getting a show right away. But I can remember there was a lot of trepidation. You remember because of the policy where
Oh yeah,
no commercial stuff. Because I remember writing out my first
yeah,
couple of playlists and like, no, can't play this. No, can't play this.
right.
No, can't play this. So, what was your guys' thoughts when you first saw that I was going to play stuff that was non indie that was commercial, and we want to keep it indie.
Oh,
Be honest,
no, no,
man.
no. See, no, no, no. I think that's a special thing about UNCG's radio station WAG. I mean, I think it's not too stuffy of a place where, you know, some stations might be more like that, but I think it's a little bit more of a wide open space for yeah, all different kinds of shows, and just I mean, yeah, there's a format, and there's kind of like you're right that indie music is kind of what's in rotation there and things like that. But no, I mean, just it was great to have all different flavors. You know what I mean? Like I ended up doing a roots music and bluegrass show with another guy. I think that was my senior year. So that was a little bit off of that, standard programming as well, or that like I said, indie rotation programming as well. But I mean, you want somebody who's excited about adding those different flavors.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, come on, like your passion for the style of music and also your knowledge, your in-depth knowledge, being able to inform and educate people about that type of thing. I mean, that's so valuable and so cool.
Yeah, because I definitely felt that we had a great mix, depending on what time of day. You can hear bluegrass, you can hear Americana, you can hear rock, you can hear hip hop, you can hear sports, you can hear ambient music, you can hear EDM. Live hip hop mix. Shout out to Ev and Section 8, man. But I just felt
Yes.
that WAG, we were all together and saying we're going to put together something that, even though maybe only 1 to 2 people were here on campus or not, we were going to do it
Mm-hmm.
our way, and we weren't going to apologize about it. Because I can remember a lot of the acts that ended up becoming fans of, I heard about first through UAG. That was the first time I heard of Little
Mm.
Brother. That was the first time I've heard of
Oh, cool.
Exchange. First time I've heard of Carolina Chocolate Drops. So a lot of
Oh,
these
yeah.
acts that I would normally not associate myself with, I got to hear
Right.
first through our little
Mm.
tiny 18-watt station.
Mm. And like you said, I mean, credit to Jack Bonney, who was doing a great job of being in that full-time general manager position that they were able to have at that time. I mean, bringing Little Brother to the station, that was
Yeah, that
that
was a
was
highlight.
beyond cool,
Yeah, because I remember you and we got a chance to take a picture with, I want to say, Ninth,
Yeah,
and I think it was
Ninth
Pooh.
and Big Two.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Fonte wasn't there. It was right when they were signed
yeah.
to Atlantic and the Minstrel Show had dropped. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember that picture wholeheartedly. And I was like, yo, they were doing what they were doing before social media became big. And to see where Ninth has gone on to with his career, Little Brother dropped a new album last year, May the Lord Watch.
Mm-hmm.
And with him bringing Rhapsody into the fold with her
Yeah.
success,
Oh,
and
yeah.
to kind of see where we were playing their stuff, and to go on
Mm-hmm.
and to be huge is a testament
Mm-hmm.
that college radio has always been at the ground front of what's talent. Because I believe acts such as REM and the B-52s get heavy airplay on
Mm-hmm.
college radio. U2 as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, college radio, I agree, is a special place because, yeah, you've got well, and that's what we were sort of doing at the time. I think is like you have the ability to sort of like maybe cherry pick these artists or sort of even these artists because I mean, they were Little Brother was pretty big at the time, like you said. Um, but yeah, you're coming from a university email address and you can kind of just, hey, come here, do it for the, up and comers, do it for, the education of our DJs. And I don't know, it's just a very cool atmosphere where you can, end up rubbing elbows with some great folks.
Right. And I also remember this was maybe a couple years after you had graduated and left, but there were a group of acts from Florida. They were doing a promo run in Greensboro, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the people that was there was a pre-fame DJ Khaled.
No way.
No, I'm serious. It was the rapper named Ace Hood, and DJ Khaled was with him. And I can remember
Unbelievable.
seeing now where it was like, hold on, this guy was at our station, and now he's everywhere, and he's bigger than just being a local Miami superstar. And it's just like you never know who you're gonna rub elbows with.
That's wild.
Going to be
That's
next
cool.
game. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
to paint the
Mm-hmm.
scene for those of you that are unfamiliar with how UNCG was at the time, the radio station was located in the basement of the Taylor building, I believe. We moved to the third floor
Mm-hmm.
around a couple years later. So we used to share the Taylor building with the drama department. They would have their plays up above. So whenever there would be plays going on, we would have to close the door to make sure that we don't interfere or they get noise with us before we go on air. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
having to play Beat the Clock numerous of times when I was on the show by myself because you had to make sure you had to be back from the bathroom by the time that record's in. So you either go to the next record, play that ID, or go into your news or your PSA that was uploaded in the audio vault. And mind you, we were doing this with
Yeah.
then CD carts that would sometimes skip.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, you're bringing back the memories.
Yeah, man. I remember being so nervous like before my first night because I thought that. Have you seen the movie Private Parts?
Mm-hmm.
You know the scene where
Yeah.
he was on the radio station. I think the rack had fell over on the turntable. I thought that
Right. Right.
happened to me like my first night on air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know you get you get a little nervous, yeah, those first few times. I agree. Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of faders and buttons and I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of coordination that you do have to get down, you know, right? Those first few shows, but um
mm-hmm. Yeah,
maybe that's what makes it even more fun once you get the hang of it cuz then you feel like you've kind of like mastered this thing. So,
yeah. It's definitely a skill. Now,
yeah.
what was your favorite show that you remember doing during your time at UAG, either solo or together with another person?
That is a good question. I mean, I do remember sort of along the lines of what we've been talking about, you know, being able to speak with some of your musical heroes. One musical hero of mine came through. His name was Mike Kinsella, and he was gonna play at Ace's Basement later that night, but he swung by the station, and me and a friend got to interview him in the booth, and yeah, that was pretty special for me. That was pretty cool.
Mm.
I still have a recording of that on cassette somewhere. Um, so that was a great one for me. What else? I like doing those shows with Paul. Like I said, we did the Roots music show. That's when I sort of first heard about some roots artists and bluegrass artists, and just jumping into like a new genre was kind of fun for me. Um, yeah, there were a lot of great times for sure. Yeah.
Mm-mm. So was there one
What about you? Do you have a say it again?
yeah, was there one interview that you ended up like kicking yourself in the head saying, "Man, I wish I would have nailed it." I have one, but you go
Oh,
first.
okay. Well, there was one. There's a guy named Calvin Johnson, who started K Records. So a lot of K Records, you know, albums would come through the station, and pretty legendary label. And he came through to do a in studio performance. And you know, I used to work down there at the coffee shop, Tate Street Coffee, and I had a shift at the exact same time that he was doing that. So I kicked myself. I was sad that I missed out on, you know, seeing his performance. He did come down and get a coffee, but but I missed his performance up there. So.
Oh man, for me, you know how with the School of Music they would have adjunct professors do like a visiting term or whatever.
Hmm.
So come to find out that there was this guy that was in the School of Music that was an adjunct, And I didn't know his association with this guy at the time. I'm sure you probably
Hmm.
know of where I'm going with this. I did not know that Fred Wesley was an adjunct professor at the School of Music. Funky Fred from Fred and the JBs. I was like, you mean to tell
Oh,
me this man that's been with the Godfather of Soul, I could have walked over to the School of Music, could have interviewed him on my show. You guys got a liner from him for Pete's sakes. I could have had an interview with Fred Wesley, and I'm like, you idiot.
oh, yeah. Yes, no, that's a big one. Yeah. So wait, when did he start? Was he there the whole
Um,
time we were both there? Or?
he was there. I think I want to say maybe a year. I want to say maybe 05, 06, because I know I
Okay,
remember seeing
okay,
him when I
okay.
took a class at the School of Music, and it wasn't like I said, it wasn't until later
Yeah,
that I realized his affiliation with James Brown. That I was like,
yeah, that's cool.
so. But I'll
I know.
say,
See, I didn't realize either, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but I would say my coolest interview during my whole 5 years at the Time Machine was I had a chance to interview Danny Wood from New Kids on the Block. And
Mm,
that interview was very extensive, no holds barred. And then I come to
hmm.
find out a year later, they decided to get back together.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so to say, I did an interview with one of the guys from New Kids, and they reunited a year later, and I'm like,
Right.
maybe I might have had a hand in that because that's still
Right.
like
Right.
one of my highest rated interviews on YouTube. Actually, with all of them, they've been
Uh,
pretty well received. And when I interviewed Brooke Payne, New
yeah.
Edition choreographer and Ronnie DeVoe's uncle, some of the stuff he was telling
Mm,
me ended up being put into the miniseries that aired about 3 years ago on
mm.
BET.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
so I
cool.
found
That's
that,
really cool.
pretty cool, with everything that we were able to accomplish as a station. It's not just me, it's all of us. It's
Hmm.
yourself, it's Chris,
Hmm.
Kyle, Jessam, to see where Jessam is at now with her being a social
Mm.
media influencer, and to know that, we were right in the midst
Yes.
and seeing her start, and Chris with where he's at with WRAL. I mean, WAG was just a special
Amazing.
place, special time of all the great people that came out of there and has gone on to do great things in their respective professions.
That's right. That's right. Yep. There was something great going on there at the time, and I've had the chance to reconnect with WAG a couple times over the years too. Whether when I'm putting out music or something, and I'll go up there and one time I played some songs live, and so and there's still really cool stuff going on there. So yeah, it's just a
Mhm.
great place in general.
Yeah, definitely support WAG. Emmylou Harris, a UNCG alumni. It might have been something in the pizza at New York Pizza, which was one of my favorite haunts when I was there. It was
Right.
either New York Pizza or Jimmy John's, because Jimmy John's had first opened maybe a year or so after I was there. Then China Walk was another spot.
You had to do Jimmy John's late night.
Yeah,
That
that
was your
that
that
was
was
your
your one
go-to.
option, really.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
your go-to if you
Yeah.
were doing that late night cramming for a finals, or if you were doing the devil's lettuce, as some people would call it, then
Right. I
that'll be
mean,
your go-to. Now, can you explain
yeah.
to the people the importance of Merge Records and Cat's Cradle out of Carborough?
Yes, and there's actually as we know, music venues are struggling right now, shut down right now. So there's actually a great compilation of North Carolina musicians who have contributed cover songs to this Cat's Cradle benefit album. So Cat's Cradle is an incredible and music venue in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. That has just kind of been a foundational piece of like I would say the North Carolina music scene and the East Coast music scene for a really long time, ever since I was growing up, and before that. So yeah, you just kind of can't say enough about it. I mean, they sponsor shows in other great places, but they also have like an incredible venue right there in Carborough. So I mean, I've been to a million shows there I could talk about. But yeah, this compilation I'm talking about, if you go to Bandcamp and look for the Cat's Cradle compilation, it goes a long way if you share that on social media or purchase the album digitally. That'll really help them out. So, and then so you mentioned Merge Records too. Yeah, Merge Records is another very important piece of the North Carolina music scene. Basically, I would say for any independent record label, they are sort of I want to say blueprint or success story. And I can actually connect this to WAG a little bit, our college radio days, because I remember hearing a band. It might have been right before they signed or right when they signed to Merge, but in other words, when they were unknown. Um, Very catchy song, and it was somebody had uploaded it to the overnight DJ. So the overnight DJ is basically the music that automatically plays when no one's there. And this song just kept popping up on there. Very catchy, like I said. And come to find out, that band blew up, a year or two later, which was Arcade Fire.
Wow.
But the first time I ever heard that was on this overnight DJ, completely unknown. Somehow somebody on the board had, either gotten an advance copy of like the EP that came out before the Merge Records full length or something like that. But that was kind of cool. So yeah, Arcade Fire is a Merge band, and obviously Arcade Fire has really blew up to a crazy extent. And but Merge is a label based in Durham, North Carolina, who has sort of like stayed true to its indie values despite having these extremely internationally successful bands and releases and stuff.
Yeah, and which is what I'm glad to see now that North Carolina has started to get national recognition for the music talent that comes from the Tar Heel State. Of course, everybody knows North Carolina from Fantasia, Sunshine Anderson, Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton, Jodeci, you got Ben Folds, and then with the likes
Mm-hmm.
of the newcomers today with Rhapsody and J. Cole, the Baby, who I found out went
Mm-hmm.
to UNCG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went to UNCG. He
Yeah.
graduated a couple years after I did, but it's just good to
Okay.
see that North Carolina's been well represented in music. And I think what makes the music scene so special in our state is that, especially with Greensboro, is that you're within not that far of a drive from RTP, that's Research Triangle
Uh-huh.
Park, for those of you that don't know, that consists of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. So you got your spots there that's near those schools. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
about an hour, 30 minutes from Charlotte. So you get to see the scene there. And then you take a couple hours drive west and you go check out the scene out of Asheville, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just a great place to be as far as the state, and you can be able to hear different sounds, different styles depending
Mm-hmm.
on where you are. And I think that's what makes North Carolina special as a whole.
I do too, and I know some musicians who have moved here. Um, and I think part of what draws them here from other places is or one thing is you can tour the East Coast basically, and it's a nice little central hub for being able to do that. If you're the type of band who tours a lot and wants to hit a lot of good sized cities, but not drive crazy lengths.
Mm. Yeah, so how do you think the music industry will bounce back next year? Because COVID has kind of put
Mm.
everything to a screeching halt. Tours have been canceled, and everything is
Mm-hmm.
still kind of
Mm-hmm.
sort of at a standstill from a music standpoint.
I really don't know. I really don't know. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a lot of unknowns right now. I think people are figuring out how to do the live stream thing more effectively and in a more exciting way. That being said, it doesn't compare to a live show where you're sitting there in person with a musician. Um, so, I mean, I know a lot of great music is being written right now and is going to be shared at some point. And as far as the infrastructure, I mean, I really don't know. I guess I just have some have hope that artists and musicians are going to be resilient, and that I mean we just hope that society will value that piece. I think that's kind of the creative piece and the cultural significance of artists. I think that's the big question: is that going to be valued, and is there going to be help for venues and musicians?
Right, especially
And support. I mean, I know. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, especially with the indie venues like you're saying, like Cat's Cradle. They're like hanging on by a thread by now. So if you know of any indie venues that has any type of fundraisers to keep the lights on, please support. Please do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, check out that Bandcamp Cat's Cradle compilation. And it actually has amazing songs on it and amazing artists on it, so it's well worth the money anyways, but it's going to a good cause. So
right. And I want to mention too that when we were on UAG, we were kind of at that last bit where the music industry still had that traditional model of we put your records out in a store, you pay 15 to 20 bucks, whether it's a cassette or a CD. And now that's gone. And artists can now go direct to the consumer via streaming services and podcasting. So how does that feel for you as an artist, knowing that it's more of the upper hand for me, whereas before I had to go through a middleman to get the music to the people, whereas now I can go direct to consumer and upload it, and on a link, click, go to social media.
Right. There's something nice about that. There is something nice about the standardization of some of the streaming stuff where, like you said, if I send a link to a mailing list or if I send a link to my family, everybody knows that site and everyone knows how they can find it and listen to it. And there's something really cool about that, because you're right, that was kind of missing back in those days. You had a whole bunch of different sites that were sort of competing for that, or you had piracy and you had, all these different competing things, but it wasn't all sort of like standardized. I think there's also some cool things about being able to look at some statistics and stuff like that with Spotify. I mean, you may be familiar with that because you've got your podcast on there. So that's neat, like looking at some of the back end, but I mean, you still want to be able to sell something. I mean, I love the website Bandcamp, and they've been having, I'm looking to them for actually hopefully coming up with some innovative solutions to the whole artist predicament or musician predicament in the next year or so. So they've actually done a really cool thing, which you may have heard of, but they've done like every first Friday going back. I forget the first month when they started to do it, but they are waiving their fees. So Bandcamp is a site where you can purchase music directly from an artist. So you can purchase, let's say, any of their physical goods, but then it's also a streaming site. You also can you can stream the music, and you can also buy downloads, and you can also buy whatever physical versions of the music they have. So in a way, it's almost like an online record store, but also a streaming site. It's kind of a neat hybrid. And but anyways, these first Fridays, they've been waiving their fees when you buy anything, as sort of a show of good faith to artists that all the money any of their fans spend on those days goes directly to the artist's pockets. And that's a really cool idea, and it's kind of a sign of goodwill, and it's kind of something that's been uplifting to a lot of artists. So, I mean, to me, that's been a really big silver lining lately, and a really hopeful thing, those first Fridays for Bandcamp. And when you talk about like what's the landscape like these days for an artist and how do I feel? Yeah, there's a place for Spotify, definitely. But it's really nice to have that other website that encourages folks to value the music and spend their money on the music to try to sustain, that sustain the music and help that artist create more of it.
Yeah, because while it's good to have that digital download of a record, but to me, there's nothing like going to a store, getting a copy of a CD or whatever hard physical copy of music that you have, being able to open up, see the inserts, read the liner notes, maybe read the lyrics if they're printed in. It's just something that you can't get when you just click buy and you have the
Mm-hmm.
audio file, all those of higher quality right in your Dropbox. There's still nothing like a vinyl record. And I got to thank UAG for
Mm-hmm.
introducing my love of vinyl, because we would have the CD and vinyl fair. And I remember it was one year where I ended up spending, I took $60 out, spent that $60 for an hour. And I ended up going back to ATM to get some more out, because you were allowed to haggle with the vendor that was there. Like, hey, I want this record, but I only got 25. Are you willing to work with me or what? So that was where
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of my vinyl collection from there. I also got a lot of it from, there was this pawn shop. They had old CDs and old vinyl on Tate Street. It was right
Mm.
next to Where Yours. And
Yeah, I
the
remember that. Yeah.
owner, I would get real good with after maybe 3 or 4 visits, and he kind of gave me some extra stuff on the slide, or he gave it to me at a deep family and friends discount. So that was the benefit of getting in real good, like you said earlier, getting in real good with the owner of a store. They'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, I'll set this aside for you. Only you can have it, can't nobody else have it. And that's the thing that is lost now with, you're not seeing a
Mm-hmm.
lot of indie record stores.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah, it's just you telling that story is kind of fun to hear. I mean, it's you going to be face to face with someone, you know, sharing favorite bands. It sort of creates this much longer tale and like this much longer story, much more, much deeper story, and experience
Mm,
to the whole. And each time you pick up that record, you're gonna think of that
right.
whole experience that you had.
Yeah, it was
That's
very,
that's true. I know.
yeah, very communal. It was like we were the music version of the movie Clerks.
Yes, nice.
Just minus not being in a video store, but it just had that
Right.
aspect of like you knew your regulars that were going to come into the store, and you won't just buy anything. You will just go and just talk shop for hours about this band, that band. Like, oh, I heard so and so's performing here on this day. Want to go? So it was that whole
Hmm.
aspect of, like you said, this of course pre-COVID, being
Yeah.
in room with somebody who has the same interests as you, whereas now, of course, because of COVID, you don't get that interaction,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
even more so now because of social media with Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, whatever social media that you're using, you don't have that sense of, hey, let me go ask Josh if he wants to go for a cup of coffee or go play a random game of soccer over at the front lawn of the EUC.
Hmm. Yes, I remember doing exactly that. Yeah,
I would pass
yeah.
that or random kids playing
Yeah.
hacky sack.
Right, right. Yeah. So like, to wrap, yeah, there's a lot of convenient things about the streaming world for sure. And and playlists can be kind of cool and fun, right? And I definitely enjoy making them for my friends. What else? But yeah, there's kind of a give and take, and I think it's good to try to have some perspective and try to be critical, um, of the system as it is, and try to just maintain your integrity and remember like why you're doing things and not to get too caught up in the numbers. Um, and also, yeah, try to think of ways if possible to sustain the art that you're trying to make, and to support those websites who are trying to do that as well. Like I said, I think Bandcamp is doing that well. So, yeah.
So support your local indie record store, and it is music over commercialism. Now let's talk about the inspiration of your new album. And I've been reading the reviews. It's been getting a lot of great feedback over in the UK and in Indie Week. Silver, Soar, and Disappear, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a record. The record, I going back to the WAG days, since we're talking about that, I played in a rock band. You might call it a math rock band, sort of like a rock band with like a jazz edge to it. And then after college, I moved back to Chapel Hill. I sort of had a collective of musicians that I played with and hung with, and still was playing rock music. So this record is a pretty big departure from all that music that I've made in my past. It's all acoustic, it's all instrumental. There's a few guest musicians on each song, but yeah, there's like a mandolin player, banjo player. And I started writing the record when my first son was born. So what happened for me at that time, I couldn't really have band practice with a bunch of people. I just wasn't not going to fit into my schedule, to do the whole rock band thing. So that left me with my acoustic guitar in the house on the porch. And that's when these songs started coming to life, really. And I was just at this point in my life too, where with work and with my son and life was just getting very full in a great way, but it was also, I was wanting that creative outlet. I was wanting to make some peaceful music when I had that time for my creative outlet. So it just sort of influenced the type of music I was making.
Mm-hmm. And where can people go and purchase the album?
You can so it's out on a record label called Tompkins Square. So if you go to Tompkins Square, if you go to their Bandcamp page, if you go to Tompkins Square, yeah, just Google Bandcamp Tompkins Square and my record will pop up. I mean, you can also all the social media sites. I'm Josh K Bro. So if you go to any of the social media sites, you'll be able to see a link to the album too.
All right. And I love the album. It's definitely great music to get into your mode of wanting to chill out from the world, especially if you got little ones in the house and they got school going and you got telework going, and you can just throw that on and just pretend like you're sitting in the bathtub wanting to get taken away by Calgon.
Thank you. Can I quote you on that?
Yes, you can't quote me on that. That's going to cost you $5.
Throw that up on the website.
Yeah, throw it up on the website and say it's from me. I give this album 2 thumbs up. It's definitely a great product. People support that.
Thank you.
And before we conclude this interview, any shout-outs you want to give and plug your social media?
Oh yeah, I want to give a shout out again to Jack Bonney. The old general manager from back in the day. Shout out to my wife, Katie. So she was a DJ back in the day as well. We've been together for a long time. Katie Zikfus, and she's a great visual artist as well. But I think that's about it. But this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and give your social media again.
Oh yeah, my social media, Josh K Bro. So Instagram at Josh K Bro. Same for Twitter, and you can look me up, Josh Kimbrough, on Facebook.
All right. And like I said, bro, we've known each other for over 10 years. Like, it's hard to believe this year, 2004, is 16 years, man. So
it is hard to believe. It really is.
Like I said, you've played an important part in my life, and everything that I've done from UAG to Beyond the album cover, which is an extension of the Time Machine. So for that, you, Jack, Eric, Jared, Jenny, Jessam, Kat, Liam, Travis, Kyle, Prez, A-Town, Section 8, Chris, everybody that's had a hand in UAG from the days of the Taylor building to the third floor of Brown. It has just been a pleasure, and I'm proud of you for everything that you've done, being a family man and your music and everything. And I'm just humbled that you even take the time to come on to my little old podcast, man.
Oh man, it's the other way around for me. I mean, I'm so proud of you, and yeah, so much love for you and the WAG family. Yeah, it's big time to see you doing this podcast. I'm a listener. Can't wait to see who comes up next. And yeah, you're doing great things.
I appreciate it, Johnson. You can catch this episode along with past episodes on Anchor, Breaker, Stitcher, Spotify. Tune in and just add it onto Apple Radio. And the video portion of this interview will be available on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/J85. That's youtube.com/lowercase J, number 8, number 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Beyond the Album Cover with my good friend, my brother from another mother, Josh Kimbrough. Josh, thank you for coming on to the podcast, bro.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.